Welcome back, everybody. How are y'all doing? My name is Jason. I'll be your host today on this CFL talk show, Hussey's Huddle. So, as some of you may know, the CFL requires teams that comprise a certain percentage of their roster with Canadian qualified players. Teams find and acquire these players through the Canadian draft process. A pool of players that consists of Canadian players that played in the NCAA down in the United States, but also more commonly get selected from Canadian USports programs. In the CFL in 2019, there was at least one player from every Canadian football program on a CFL roster, which speaks to the relevancy that it has in the league. Which got me thinking, who is the best player from every Canadian youth sports program? That's what we're going to do today in this video. Now, for consumability's sake, we decided to split this up by conference. So today we'll be covering the Atlantic USports Conference. The next one will be on the Quebec Football Conference, and so on and so forth with the OUA. OUA is going to get 2 videos, actually, and Western Canada West Conference. To be eligible for this list, you had to play at least one game during the 2019 season. It doesn't matter if you're under contract today, as long as you haven't officially announced your retirement. And yeah, basically that's the only rule about eligibility for this list. Without further ado, the best player from every Atlantic U Sports program. We start this list with just a guy who is just an absolute grinder. Mike Filer might be the only Mount Allison alumni currently in the CFL, but he sure has developed into a hell of a football player. Filer played with the Mounties from 2008 to 2011, where he quickly broke into the starting lineup as a freshman at the guard position. For his efforts, he was twice named his team's most outstanding offensive lineman, while also being named a second-team All-Canadian in 2010. Filer would be selected in the 5th round of the 2012 CFL draft by the Stampeders, but would be cut his first training camp. This didn't deter him, as he would quickly latch on with the Tiger-Cat shortly thereafter, and would eventually settle in as an anchor along Hamilton's line at center. Over the last 3 seasons, he hasn't missed a single game, including in 2019, when his team made it all the way to the Grey Cup game. Sometimes, the CFL can be a years-long grind for players that wish to make their mark. And that really defines Jeff Hecht, who really had to fight for every opportunity in this league. The future CFL safety would play 5 years of major junior football before transferring to St. Mary's, where he would play at a high level in 2010, while being named a second-team All-Canadian in the process. Despite his production, he would go undrafted in the 2011 CFL draft, ending up with the Montreal Alouettes as an undrafted free agent. After a solid rookie year in Montreal where he competed on special teams, he signed with Calgary in 2012, where he would play 4 seasons and capture his first Grey Cup in 2014. His CFL journey would continue with a stop in Saskatchewan from 2016 to 2017, but Hecht would truly fall into a perfect scenario for his skill set when he signed with Winnipeg in 2018. During the 2018 season, he would serve in a largely backup and special team capacity like he had done for much of his career. But come the next season in 2019, he would get a long run as a starter, playing at a high level and nabbing a career-high 3 interceptions. Hecht's career season was capped off when his team captured the Grey Cup to finish off the 2019 season. The 35-year-old is currently a free agent, so it'll be interesting to see if he will look to sign with the team for 2021. Just one honorable mention for the St. Mary's Huskies, and that's former Saskatchewan Roughriders kicker Brett Lauther. Lauther is currently seeking an NFL opportunity, but remains unsigned. Raised in Scarborough, Jermaine Gabriel would make a few stops on his journey to the CFL. He would start out at Bishop's University in Sherbrooke, Quebec, where he would play from 2009 to 2010. He would sit out the 2011 season to go home to help support his single mother and sister, but in 2012 would return to the football field, this time at the junior level, grinding his way working jobs on the side just to get by. Gabriel entered the 2013 CFL draft after a successful season with the Colts in 2012, and was selected in the second round by the Toronto Argonauts. In the CFL, Gabriel very quickly established himself as an everyday dependable player, contributing in a variety of ways as both a starter and on special teams. He would enjoy an incredibly long and successful tenure with his original club, which was highlighted by being a part of Toronto's 2017 Grey Cup Championship. During 2020 free agency, Gabriel finally said goodbye to Toronto and is now currently in Edmonton. For Bishops, our only honorable mention is Junior Turner, who is a member of the Calgary Stampeders, who actually missed all of the 2019 season due to injury, but is a promising player when healthy. Next, we have one of the easier players to cheer for in the CFL, and that's former Acadia Axeman, Jake Thomas. Thomas played with Acadia from 2008 to 2011, with his 2010 season being his best. That year, the defensive lineman finished with 8.5 sacks and 43 tackles, dominant numbers by U Sports standards. In 2012, he would enter the CFL draft, but wouldn't be selected until the 4th round, 28th overall, by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Thomas has remained with Winnipeg ever since, becoming a key rotational piece along the defensive interior line. In fact, I would argue he played a big, yet rather unheralded role in Winnipeg's 2019 championship victory, especially when you go back and rewatch the tape from the Grey Cup versus Hamilton. Thomas will be just 30 years old by the time the 2021 season begins, and seeing as though 2019 was some of his best football yet, there might be plenty still to come. The only other Acadia Axeman I want to mention is Thomas's teammate Mike Miller, who in 2019 became the CFL's all-time leader in special teams tackles. Our last selection on this list also happens to be the most famous and arguably the most successful player on this list, Hecht Mwamba. Mwamba was originally born in the Democratic Republic of Congo, but grew up in Mississauga. His football journey would eventually lead him out east to St. Francis Xavier University, where he would establish a legacy as a school icon. Mwamba played linebacker for the X-Men from 2007 to 2010, and broke multiple school records, including becoming the team's all-time leading tackler. He was twice named the Atlantic USports Player of the Year, and 3 times was named to the USports All-Canadian team. His dominant USports career led him to entering the 2011 CFL Draft, where he was by no one surprised the number 1 overall pick by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He certainly lived up to his pre-draft billing, establishing himself as an elite playmaker in Winnipeg's linebacking core. Mwamba earned his first CFL All-Star appearance in 2013 with a monster season stat line of 92 defensive tackles, 19 special teams tackles, 1 sack, and 1 interception. This impressive performance drew the attention of the NFL's Indianapolis Colts, who signed the linebacker and would keep him on the roster for 2 seasons. In 2015, he returned to the CFL with Montreal, and after a 2-year stop in Saskatchewan, he would return to the Alouettes in 2018. In 2019, Mwamba would have one of his best seasons yet, collecting 93 tackles and being named the CFL's most outstanding Canadian player. The former St. FX standout will look to defend that title when the CFL gets back on the field in 2021. Some other St. FX players in the CFL include the Alouettes' Keon Julian Grant, as well as the Hamilton Tirecats' K. Okafor. So that's going to do it for today's video. I want to thank you guys all for watching. If you enjoy CFL content like this, consider liking the video or subscribing to Hussey's Huddle for more CFL content just like this. Thanks again. See you guys next time. Peace.